Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
I'm Jackula.
And he's eating popcorn because we just watched Pyrokinesis, the latest movie from the director of Train to Busan. Actually, no, not Pyrokinesis, Psychokinesis.
Psychokinesis, yeah.
And partially because of that title, Psychokinesis, made me think that this was going to be a horror film, because, I mean, it's the director of Train to Busan, called Psychokinesis, so I'm like, okay, it's going to be like Carrie or something, you know?
Yeah, something like that. But especially considering its opening.
Yeah, especially given the way the movie opens.
It has a very violent opening. Not like super gory, but definitely like...
It's one of those things where someone dies in the first 5 minutes, and so you're like, okay, is this going to be a violent revenge story? Is this going to be like, what's going on? And actually, it turns out the movie is actually way more of like a family comedy superhero film.
Yep.
It just so happens to be directed by the director of Train to Busan, and it's a South Korean film.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, it's a film that is subtitled. So if you don't like that, what the fuck ever, you're not gonna like this movie.
Yeah, you suck.
But this movie was awesome.
It's pretty good.
I like this movie. It's a really adorable little movie about this guy who's just trying to prove himself to his daughter and happens to get superpowers, and so that becomes his avenue. He gets to prove himself to his daughter.
Yeah, he gets to be the dad who has superpowers. You know,
and before this, he was kind of a deadbeat who had nothing going for him. You know, he was a loser security guard who wasn't really going anywhere in life and had nothing to provide a daughter.
Yeah. He didn't have money, he didn't have space, he didn't have, like...
He didn't even have the emotional stones because he was extremely immature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then one day he just up and gets these superpowers, these psychokinetic superpowers that allow him to levitate things with his mind.
Yep.
And he's able to help his daughter with her eviction crisis.
Yeah. Like there's an evil construction company going to tear down the place where...
And we mean like pure evil. Like this company acts like they are the frickin' mob meets like government conspiracy shit.
Oh
like,
yeah. Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do.
And they're great. Like especially like the head of the company person who shows up. When she shows up, she like practically steals the show. She is just a hilarious.
Yeah, she's a great supervillain.
You know, I'm not sure how much I could talk about before we get to the spoilers because the movie is so simple.
Yeah, there's not a lot to spoil here except the specific, like, plot turns.
Guy gets superpowers, ends up helping daughter with eviction crisis with evil construction company, and that's the whole movie.
Yeah. Basically, the only real thing that there is to spoil is, oh my god, does he help his daughter in the end? Like, does he live? Those aren't really twists. You'll
find out
on the surface.
You'll find out, but I'll tell you right now, this is a very feel-good movie.
Oh, like, it is, yeah, definitely.
Even though it has this really stark opening that kind of hits you like a ton of bricks, the rest of the movie is really like heartwarming. Yeah, you know, in a good way, not like in like a schmaltzy way that doesn't work. This movie works.
Yeah, it does. It also horror fans will probably might not recognize that this movie has a lot of the cast from Train to Busan in it
Awesome.
You know,
I noticed that the guy who does the guy who did the voice in Seoul Station was like the main character in this.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Also, the girl Rumi was the young woman, not the little daughter, but the young woman who survives at the end of Train to Busan.
Oh, cool! There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. It's currently available on Netflix streaming, and that's how we watched it. In fact, it's listed as a Netflix original movie, so I'm assuming they purchased it from Korea and released it here.
Most likely.
They're probably
had a Korean release.
Yeah, they're probably the North American distributor, and it is totally worth the watch. Even if you're just a pure horror fan and you only like horror, you'll probably still enjoy this movie. This movie has a lot going for it.
Yeah, it's really cute. You know, it's a really cute film.
And it works as a superhero film, but it's like it's a weird combination of being really super goofy while also being oddly realistic.
Yeah, like there's this whole thing throughout the whole movie about, look, you can't fight these developers, they generally just get their way.
The bottom line is that they still have the legal right.
Yeah.
So it's still kind of illegal to fight them.
Yeah.
But that also leads into the movie's like social commentary, because much like Train to Busan, there is a socio-political context this movie sits in, and it's even less subtle than Train to Busan.
No. It just flat out fucking tells you.
This is very much a haves versus have-nots versus government who the government favors.
Yeah, yeah,
they
very much
favor the
so.
haves, not so much the have-nots.
Yeah, extremely. They extremely favor the haves. And probably one of the funniest things is how the South Korean news
scapegoating North Korea.
North Korea is just their all-purpose bad guy.
It's their all-purpose boogeyman. When they want to push some sort of propaganda, just blame it on North Korea. You know, it's kind of like we do with Hispanic people. You know, If something's going wrong
or
here,
back in the 80s, Russia,
or
in the early 2000s, fucking Middle Eastern people. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's like, oh, it's Osama bin Laden.
Oh man, our economy's failing. It must be all those Mexicans that took our jobs.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, there's civil unrest and school shootings. Oh, it must be all these Muslims.
Well, it's one of those things where, unlike with a lot of things, there has to be like a nugget of truth enough to where when people hear it, they take it as gospel.
Yeah.
You know, like if there wasn't like a 9/11, it'd be a lot harder to blame all Middle Eastern people, but because it happened, they can
twist it and just
because everyone remembers 9/11.
Yeah.
You know. And in this case, like, North Korea is a very easy scapegoat because they actually are fucking evil.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
here you go.
But, like, you could also tell, oh, God, just that scene where they send in, like, the police goons.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like they're almost like an army that just comes in and just starts cleaning.
Like I said, they have the legal right to this land, so the police are ostensibly on their side for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's their job.
Yeah.
You know? So I think we should probably move on to the spoilers soon. Obviously going to include some sort of Amazon affiliate link in the description below, but I do not know if it's going to be to this movie since it's a Netflix release. So it might be just a link to Train to Busan, which, if you're a horror fan, is probably the movie you want to watch more anyway. So there you go. So with that said, let us move on to the spoilers. Okay then, like, there's really not too much to spoil here.
No, like I said before, there really isn't. It's a real simple movie. It's like there are no big spoilers to say, I could tell Fellowship of the Rings, like, other than Boromir dying, you know, there's not really anything.
Boromir's the only real spoiler there. Like, the things I can really spoil, I don't know if there trailers or anything that spoiled this beforehand, but, like, he gets his superpowers because of a random meteorite hitting Springwater.
Yeah, which they heavily imply is because the mom died and she has somehow become a guardian angel.
Yeah.
Who causes a meteor that gives fucking superpowers to the Earth to land right there.
It's one of those great magical realism moments because it's like, it could have been, or it could have just been happenstance. Either way, he's going to operate as if it was.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Either way, he's going to operate as if he is this agent of the mom's love and become a better father and help his daughter.
Yeah.
There's that. He goes to jail at the end of this movie for fighting the construction people. Like, that's what I mean when I said this movie's kind of realistic. Like, he goes to jail for 4 years, even though he helps save the people getting evicted from being killed, because there's a point when the police and the construction workers are basically gonna fucking, like, kill them and throw them off roofs and shit. It's like they're bringing the construction equipment in without any like without caring that there are people that might run over or accidentally get hit with scaffolding or some shit. You know?
But the only thing that felt a little unrealistic is at the end when he gets out of jail, because I'm like, wow, that you don't assume that South Korea apparently doesn't assume that its government just comes in and sends, like, fucking DARPA to dissect people.
I know. You think with his history that would be the first thing that would happen? Yeah.
They had just been like, all
right,
right,
would become a military weapon or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
He'd be our ultimate weapon against the fight against the North Koreans. You know, it's like
yeah. And he just sort of like, okay, like, wouldn't that be, since they brought that up, wouldn't that be their go-to move? But that's obviously not what this movie is.
The movie wanted a much more feel-good ending where he goes back to his daughter and the daughter has made... Because basically the whole plot is kicked off because they're trying to evict her from her fried chicken restaurant that she has.
Yep.
And they're also evicting all the other people within the adjacent buildings because they're basically
They do a really good job making that fried chicken look really good.
Oh, God, the fried chicken looked delicious. And they're going to level the whole thing and build, I believe, was it a mall they were going to build? Something like that.
They were going to build a modern... they were going to build a modern shopping complex to attract Chinese tourists.
Oh, gotcha.
which would have been okay, except they weren't willing to pay everyone
Yeah.
for the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't willing to relocate anybody. And so everyone's just like, well, what? You know, like, come on, like, what the fuck? Like, the construction company probably could have gotten away with it just by paying people, but they didn't. Yeah.
Like, bribing everyone out of their stores probably would have, like, here's enough money to start your own store somewhere else. You know?
Yeah, fuck off and leave us alone. We want them Chinese monies.
I realized earlier that we mentioned the mother. That is one thing we can also spoil. At the beginning of the movie, in the first 5 minutes, she is killed by the construction workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I guess not construction workers, the thugs that are hired to evict them.
Yeah.
But they work for the construction company. And they're part of like a, not sister company, but what is it when you own a company?
Subsidiary,
yeah. It's like a subsidiary of the main construction company that are basically hired thugs to muscle you out.
Yeah.
And,
they're basically a company that is hired to fucking send in the Goombas and fucking throw you out of your
And they just
place.
flat out kill the mom at the beginning of the movie. Now, granted, it was an accident, they weren't intending to, but they were coming at her with some violent intent to begin with.
Well, so yeah, like the whole time you're like, someone is gonna get killed here. You know?
At the very least, someone's gonna get fucking crippled. Like, you guys are coming at this like you're planning on crippling or killing somebody.
Yeah. They're going ham on people, and you're just like, what the damn? Okay. Yeah. And when the fucking mom's head hits the pavement, you're just like,
and the dad has basically been out of the picture for the last 10 years. And he gets a call from his daughter because she finds his number in her mom's phone to inform him that the mom has died. And this is how he re-enters his daughter's life.
Yeah.
And from this point on, he's basically determined to prove himself to his daughter and be the better father than he was before, because he feels bad about walking out before.
Yeah.
He feels bad about failing the family. He feels bad about leaving the mom. And he wants to make it all better now. And now that he has this new superpower that he got just from accidentally drinking some well water.
Yeah.
He accidentally drank it and got some superpowers, and so now he's going to use that at first to do the Spider-Man thing and earn some money, and then like he's going to win his daughter's heart that way. But then what he quickly finds out is that if he really wants to help his daughter, he's got to help her with his eviction thing. But unfortunately, it's a no-win scenario.
Yeah.
Even if he beats up all the construction workers, even if he beats up all the cops, he's still going to end up in jail. She's still going to end up evicted. But the bottom line at this point isn't necessarily victory so much as standing beside his daughter and proving that he can do that.
Yeah. And minimizing the amount of fucking
casualties.
Deaths. Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Casualties.
There's a point where a guy is hanging because, like, on one of those fire escapes, they're trying to get to the roof and they're flooding the fire escape to try to get all the people they're trying to evict out. And one of the people they're trying to evict ends up grabbing onto the railing, which gives, and they end up hanging and dangling off of the fire escape.
Yeah.
And then they start hosing him with a hose from below, and you're just like,
you're trying to kill this guy.
And this wasn't even the construction workers. This was the fucking cops. Like, you're just like...
Yeah, you're just like, okay, you're trying to kill this guy.
And at that point, you're just like, when he shows up and uses his superpowers to kick everyone's ass, you're like, oh, nah, construction worker or cop, who cares? Kick all their asses.
Yeah. It's just done.
Probably my favorite scene in this movie, though, has nothing to do with the superhero. It has everything to do with the villains. There is a scene in which the head of the subsidiary has to meet one of the people over at corporate, their higher-ups. And it's this really chipper, really, like, everything's awesome woman who then proceeds to have him beat up. And while he's getting beat up, she records her asking the thugs not to hurt him for her own legal, like...
Yeah, her own legal defense. Like, like, she's not involved.
And then afterwards, she's just like, all right, what did we learn? Like, it's just like, it's all nice and chipper. And I'm just like...
Yeah, she's a great villain.
I love this character.
She's
great. She is amusing as hell. And then she just proceeds to like lay out, all right, here how we're going to deal with this. She doesn't even like bat an eye at the guy having superpowers. She's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leak something to the cops because everyone has something. Everyone has something. We're going to leak it to the cops so that he ends up at least in jail for as long as it takes for you to demolish this building, which is only going to take you a couple days. So let's just make sure that he's just in booking, being questioned by the police for the next few days. So we're going to do that. We're also going to turn public opinion against him. And if public opinion is against him, then the government's going to be more on our side. Yeah. And then this whole elaborate plan of them having one of their people take a huge sum of money give themselves up to the police
Yeah.
for the murder of the mom, and then they shut down the subsidiary, and then they reopen a new subsidiary.
Yeah, like the same day.
In order to, like, regain the legal rights so the cops will be on their side. It's this weird, elaborate plan, but they do it, and it works, and it ends up in this giant, like, Helm's Deep, like, siege.
Yeah, it's a siege.
On the buildings. And he has to break out of jail and save his daughter and save the people that his daughter's trying to fight for. And then afterwards, he turns himself over to the police.
Yeah. And at the end, I kind of liked how at the end, like, after all that, after all this fight over the construction rights, over the land, over everything, that area just turns into a vacant lot. Because they can't actually build this shopping plaza that they had planned.
Because of poor plans, because of poor corruption, because of poor money management, it hasn't been built yet.
Yeah, so it's just sitting there.
For 4 years.
Yeah. It's like fucking, it was like the fucking, like, Two Towers Museum and all that shit. The Freedom Tower or whatever. It's just like, no, it's just a vacant lot.
I loved it because it was basically like the ultimate commentary on like the Korean haves versus the have-nots. It's just like, you evicted all these people, all these poor people, and all these business owners just so you can have a vacant lot for 4 years that benefits no one.
Yep.
Good job.
Good job. You did it.
Good job.
Good job. Yep.
But it does have a happy ending.
Job creation.
Yeah.
Job creation.
It does have a happy ending, though, because the daughter uses her father's cachet as this super-powered hero who fights for the little guy, and uses him to make a new brand of fried chicken.
Yeah.
That's like, what was it, like Super Chicken?
Superpowered chicken.
Superpowered chicken.
Yeah, that has him as the logo, using his powers.
So he breaks out of prison. No, he gets out of prison. He legally gets out of prison. He's picked up by the lawyer who's been helping his daughter the whole time, and it turns out they're getting married, and he's like, oh, shit, you told me you didn't like her. It's like, I lied, I'm sorry. Like, she has a really bad temper, you know. How are you going to deal with that? It's like, I guess we'll just have to learn. Like, it's just... this movie's actually really funny.
Cute. Yeah,
it's really funny and cute. And so he gets there, he sees his daughter. His daughter finally has come around to him because he was willing to go to jail for 4 years for her.
Yeah.
At this point, she's like, all right. Now, and that's the movie.
That's it. That's it. Just a little. It's like Hancock as like a family film.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's very much like Hancock, even to the point when he starts trying to fly and he's just banging into buildings,
running into shit
because he has no coordination and doesn't know how to do it. So he's just trying to learn as he goes. And he's a drunk.
Yeah, and he's a bit of an alcoholic.
He's super drunk. When he first uses his powers, he's so drunk he doesn't know if he actually used his powers or if he was just drunk hallucinating. He's just like, was it in my hand the whole time? Like, it's just...
But I did kind of like the fact that they didn't waste too much time on the learning how to use his powers. It was just enough. That's
what's kind of amazing about this movie. This movie has a really lean economy. You know, like he gets his powers really fast. He gets into the plot where he's with his daughter really fast. And he gets into fights with the construction workers really fast. And the movie escalates to its third act. About halfway through, it becomes its third act. Like, there's like almost no second act in this movie.
Yeah. It just kicks into high gear. But
because it's a really long act of this giant siege, kind of like Helm's Deep, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop from there. And it's consistently funny. It's got some good action in it, and it's heartwarming. You know?
Yeah. It's like if you're like, let's watch a little foreign family film. Like there are a whole bunch of these that these are often like films I feel like people kind of overlook because they're not like the super intense fucking porn films.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, but there are ones like this. I talked about one that I really love called Robo-G, which was a Japanese film about a grandfather in a robot suit. It's just a family comedy about grandfather and robot suit. What was that? It's great.
What was that one that, what was it, like, fuck. The guy who did Kung Fu Hustle did a cute one about, like, this little robot thing that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Fuck. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn it. But yeah, like these kinds of, like, cultural family movies, you know, I actually think some of these are really, really interesting because they tell you a lot about the similarities and differences of the culture.
Well, what I really liked about this movie was the entire time I was noticing how similar it was to our culture, as well as how different.
Yeah.
You know, like it was very obvious that like the police in this culture have way more leeway to hit immediately.
Oh yeah,
in this.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like
well, it's because I believe, I can't remember exactly, but I believe that South Korea works on the same principle that Taiwan does, which is that the military and the police are slightly connected.
Well, yeah, if that's true,
know?
that you could feel that in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they felt very militarized.
Yeah.
But they've definitely had, like, they had carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they want to people. And, like, to a certain extent, that happens here in America, but you kind of feel like they have to do it, like, in a shady way in America. Whereas,
yeah, it has to be
and this,
shady.
it was, like, first contact.
Yeah, like, there's definitely a feeling in, like...
There was no escalation of it.
Yeah, like, how to put it, like, the feeling in Asia is that the cops don't, unless it's Japan, the cops don't have to pretend to play nice.
And I also know, like, I don't know, like, the way the construction, like, thugs worked. I was just like, man, this is so overtly mobster.
Oh, yeah.
So overtly mobster.
Well, it's so overtly mobster, you're actually kind of shocked to realize that they're not actually...
They're just corporate.
Yeah, they're just a corporate citizen.
Like,
they're not like sopa rings or anything.
They're so corporate that, like, scenes where you'd normally expect, like, a boss to kill a subordinate for failing or something, they just beat him up. And it's like, well, that makes sense if you have, like, corporate liability and stuff like that. Whereas if these were actual mobsters, it'd just be like, oh, he's sleeping with the fishes. You're the head now. You deal with him. Like, you know.
Yeah. You could tell this was intended to be a family film, so that's probably why they did that.
That probably. But it still has blood.
Oh, yeah,
like, when that dude gets beat up, he's beat up.
He's fucked up. Yeah, but one of the things I think I always thought was very interesting about, like, Asian audiences is that Asian audiences will accept a certain amount of blood. It's funny.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like,
well, that
see a bad guy get beat up, everyone's like, hee.
I love that, because that scene goes from, oh, God, to, like, okay, that whole, like, recording the, oh, no, don't hit him thing is kind of hilarious.
Oh, my God, yeah.
To the moment where he's sitting there on the ground, like, just a bloody mess, and they come in with the food because they're in a restaurant when they do this, and the waitress like looks at the guy on the ground and then just sets the plate of food next to the guy who's all beat up on the ground and then walks out. Just like, okay, that was some great physical comedy right there. That's a great joke.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Wasabi.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, which is a Japanese film starring Jean Reno, which is also pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's also about a man and his daughter.
That's the only thing I noticed. Like, this and Train to Busan were both about bad dads.
Yeah.
Trying to make up for their bad dadness to their daughter with a lot of social commentary.
Yeah. Like in Train to Busan, it's the workaholic father who's very stern and very detached.
And he's the haves.
Yeah.
You know, he's the haves in that instance that's fucking everything over. In fact, he and his company are ostensibly the reason why the outbreak happens in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, but in this one, it's like the dad. This dad's kind of schlubby, and
this guy's schlubby. His big problem is that he's irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't handle money well. He doesn't handle responsibility well. He doesn't even know what to do with the daughter. And it's probably better off that he made a connection with her later in life, because he probably would have been terrible when she was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, this is one of those movies where, you know, he learns a little bit more about responsibility along the way, you know?
Yeah. So it's one of those.
So, yeah, I highly recommend this movie. Highly, highly. Like I said, it is currently on Netflix streaming, at least in America. I can't speak for other countries, but it's the distributor here, so they have it. Count Jackula, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Count_Jackula. You can find me on Twitch if you just look under Count Jackula and you see the satanic goat horns. That'll be me. And you could just subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, and we stream every Thursday at 6 p.m. and every Sunday at 9 p.m., both Pacific Standard Time. I will see you at those streams.
Excellent. You can find me, The Horror Guru, on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. Well, you're already on my YouTube, so I guess that doesn't matter. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload, sometimes. And with all that said, peace out, my fellow Gorehounds, and I'll catch y'all later.